Hello, everyone. It's the season finale, American Crime Story, season 2, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. Meredith, Brett, Alonso. Y'all go first.
I enjoyed the episode. One thing that jumped out to me specifically, like a moment where I'm like, so Schmidt from the New Girl
Yes.
show. He has a monologue in this where he really sums up the reason that, or one main theme of the entire series. And the one thought I had during it was, this is the monologue you cut if it worked.
Thank you.
There you go.
That monologue to me was like, you know what? Everything you're saying is true, and I don't believe anybody ever said it like this in this circumstance. And yes, I understand this is a dramatization, and you have to you have to give people speeches where they fit. But that was just so like, pardon everyone, I'm going to unpack the theme.
Right.
For
What
you.
is it? It's the Mammoth I once had a dog monologue. Where it's like, all right, I get it. This is you didn't do enough work ahead of time. But I think they did. I just don't think they needed it.
But now, yeah, because I think if you want to portray the, again, if the theme of this show is, boy, it sucked to be gay in the 90s, the cavalcade of microaggressions that happened to Ricky Martin at the funeral, I thought nailed it. Like that stuff to me felt like, yes, this is totally how it would happen and why and all that shit. And I've been through that. I mean, not thankfully in a good way. When my husband's father died, his siblings, some of whom are more on the evangelical end of the spectrum, arranged the funeral. And so during the service, the minister starts talking about who survived his father, and he starts listing like the sons and their spouses, and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna go, and I made the list.
Oh wow!
Oh,
so I was like, so watching this funeral, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what that's like, and I know how shitty it would be to get excluded in that context.
I mean, as for that monologue, it's the oldest adage in the book of writing and film. Show don't tell.
Right.
I felt it was extremely heavy-handed. But overall, I actually love this episode. They went back to the first couple episodes. Remember last week I was going on about the set design and the artistic design of it all. We start seeing Andrew in those color block, those mismatched color, it's all their mismatched shade color outfits.
The banana,
I know. We see Miami again, but with a dreary yellow tinge, everything's dirty and disgusting and as if it's coming to an end. And
I thought the beginning scene when we see Andrew kind of come to terms with the scope of what's happened, and he sits down and he pulls open his champagne and he looks out during the manhunt. I thought it was weird because this is in the 90s and it was the most Tangerine Dreamy 80s score to it. It felt like
it's an Ultravox song.
Was that the early 90s? It felt so much like
I think it was an
Stranger Things.
Yeah. It also felt
like
a fever dream. It almost put us in a different world that because there is enough FBI evidence of what occurred in that houseboat, where he was, how he was dressed, the mess he left behind.
Did that houseboat have that many televisions?
Yeah, it actually did have a television in every room, and there was actually a projector.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay then.
So it's really and in fact actually I was reading an article on Vulture because I didn't get to do as much research this week as I had hoped, but the Vulture article actually did state that the house was messier than they showed it. But yeah, so he had all the TVs. That was on the list of the FBI evidence, but it almost felt like, because we don't really know what happened in that houseboat, we can only do conjecture. I actually think the set or the artistic design for that whole scene was done well because of the colors. It made me feel like we were in his idealized version of it, and I like that. I'm starting to really Jones for these moments in television cinema where oh, you're putting a lot of thought into this.
Oh God, the televisions themselves, that 4x3, 42-inch screen, and the wood casing around it. That was one that at Ken Crane's on Ventura Boulevard, they would all be lined up. You'd be like, ooh, mahogany there,
right?
Pearlwood over here.
And I also want to point out to the art department, good job on recreating that houseboat. They did a fantastic job of making it look as gaudy on the outside as it was an eyesore. It was owned by this like German businessman who had fallen into dilapidation. It was actually sinking. It was just a problem. And so they really did a good job of making it look as horrendous as houseboats from the 90s could be.
I go back and forth on, I mean, I assume he actually did call the father and all that, and that stuff played out. And it's like, on the one hand, that he thought that the father was gonna be any help at all, but then on the other hand, he was literally backed into a corner and desperate and had nothing else. So it's like, I guess that's maybe
I think they reinforced that with him seeing the younger version of himself. And also the way he walks, the physicality of Andrew Cunanan with a backpack on is that of a nerdy kid walking around, an elementary school.
Yeah.
I did not know exactly what happened. I knew there was a certain amount of days of this manhunt. I, for some reason, thought that he made it off the island and went somewhere. No.
Nope.
So what they end up doing is playing with the stages of purgatory, I guess, that he's going through.
Yeah, from spitting out the dog food to just like, he clearly, he is stuck, he is trapped because he has put himself on, a landmass off the coast of the United States. Like if the waterways are blocked, you can't leave unless you get a boat, which he tried to do, and then the woman caught him.
And you do not want to swim the intercoastal.
Oh, I'm gonna be real honest. It's not that far of a swim, and it's not as like in the 90s. It was gross, but it's not like as gross. He could have done that, but they were like the manhunt was as intense as they showed it. Every ounce of Miami Beach was locked down. There was one scene that I actually found a little interesting where they show him kind of sitting on like a seawall, and there's like a hotel club in the background, and everyone's kind of going about their life normally, which and again, this is my memory as a child, I remember everyone being really on edge and like people didn't really go about their normal life, but it also would be very Miami for people just like, there's a killer on, whatever, we're gonna go party it up, because that's what we do during hurricanes, so.
I am told by someone who would know that apparently there was not originally gonna be this much of Mrs. Miglin in this episode, but apparently the first episode with Judith Light landed so well with viewers that they shot more footage and put it in here.
And what they added was probably her appearance on television selling perfume, and there was that weird moment where you see Andrew dazed looking into the camera at someone who I didn't know what to take from that. I took from it maybe some element of, here's another liar.
Yeah.
Here's someone who lies to themselves and others in order to create some other, strangely
to get people to do what you want.
Yeah, do what they want, but also create a fiction that people are happy living in and rely on them buying into it. She just does it so much better than Andrew could sustain.
Yeah.
I had not thought of it that way. That's interesting. I was thinking more that it was the possibility that he's thinking about his own mother and how he, the ways in which she was mistreated by the father and by Andrew, But no, that's true. I mean, that's the thing about Andrew Cunanan is like his skill set, when applied appropriately, can take you to the White House. So it's just it is a lot about, there's a lot of factors about luck and timing and follow through that it could have all gone very differently.
We got that scene. Well, first when we come back to this episode, when it first opens, we are in that place again, that time and a place. After going way back in time, we're here. I thought that was effective. It just kind of gave me anyways the like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how we got here from there. But then we had gone back in time, so we didn't end up like getting it to the development anymore. I was like, oh, I thought Andrew was like this nice kid who just needs a little more attention. And now he's already killed someone. I thought that was interesting, but more importantly, that one scene right as Andrew pulls the trigger and he flashes immediately to a conversation with Versace, which is a great scene.
Yeah, and the whole thing about like, if you want to impress people, do a thing that will impress them. And again, here's a thing that makes me crazy about PG-13 movies and television. When you blow your brains out like that, you leave stuff on the wall.
Well, like I thought, because before I being West Coast time, I saw like on my Twitter feed someone linked to a story that said the bloody ending of Andrew Cunanan, and I was expecting, because when they had that scene, I was like, whoa, how deep are we going to go with this? What boundary are you going to push? I'm like, oh, that wasn't bloody. That wasn't It was artistic. It was nice.
Like if this had been a Dexter episode, forget
exactly.
it. You know?
So, I have to say, the last episode redeemed the entire series for me.
Wow,
I really loved it. I mean, I was really on board at the beginning, and I kind of started to falter through the backstory a bit, but I liked the send-off every character got. They kind of all got their own place to shine and say something, and I really felt that, like, overall, now I see the vision.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, now I see what they intended, so I kind of retract a lot of my criticisms upon full viewing.
I think this would have been a better show at about 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah,
I think it's really repetitive in a lot of ways. But at the same time, now that it exists as a whole thing, I will probably never do it because I don't have the time. But I could see where binging this would be a more satisfactory viewing experience.
I think the most inhuman moment in the entire series is when Donatella is walking in the rain and one of the bodyguards has an umbrella and the other one is forced to walk in the rain without an umbrella. Of all that, I thought that was super cruel.
I know.
And then the last shot, this amazing shot, I don't even know what to make of it. I think they just thought it was cool. Well, it really was like Donatella stepping into the Versace image in the mirror. I thought it looked
that was
really amazing.
That was really good. Also, that pulling away shot of Cunanan and the it almost looked like, reminded me of like a high school of lockers, except they were ashes.
Well, it's funny because that very last shot, I was thinking on the one hand, okay, the idea is that he is now cursed to anonymity, which is the last thing that he would want. Except that we're watching this at the end of a fucking 9-episode miniseries about him. So no, he lives forever now. Thanks, Ryan Murphy. You gave him what he wanted.
Yeah, but I got to enjoy 9 hours of watching things, so it
more
works
like
out.
12.
All
Those are
I'm
long
saying
episodes.
is, like, Darren Criss was fantastic, and I'm really excited to see where he goes from
I take
here.
nothing away from Darren Criss' performance. He nailed it. I thought Edgar Ramirez was really good. The woman who played Lizzie, whose name is
His best friend.
Yeah, from Masters of Sex. I've always liked that actress.
Pretty much everyone.
Penelope Cruz, I kind of feel like there's a lot of. It's the stunt casting that is making that more effective. Even Ricky Martin to an extent, but like the guy who played David Madsen, Dynamite. Finn Wittrock was really good. Mike Farrell and Michael Nouri and Terry Sweeney. Yeah, I mean, very strong performances. There's a lot I liked in this. I don't want to completely poop on it, but I think it's a little much.
Also, Antonio did not kill himself. He's alive and well.
He is?
He actually runs a sportswear company, does like athletic apparel.
And apparently Versace's will left him an annual stipend, but Donatella arranged for him to get all the money up front.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's completely different. I was dead.
I had to look that as soon as it ended. I'm like, no, please tell me he's still alive. I want Ricky Martin to live forever.
I know, he needs a title card for that. All right, we got to run, but thank you for joining us for this whole season. We'll be back for Katrina whenever that happens, so see you then.
Bye.